Well, here we are with me going live after trying yesterday so desperately to do it. And what I'm about to talk with you about is a question that might have been in your brain if you're a classically trained musician. I'm a classically trained pianist, master's degree in piano from Indiana University, studied Bach, Beethoven, Chopin, Prokofiev, Ginastera, a modern Brazilian composer. Wow, really interesting range of music I've studied through the years. But I've also made a career, a profession out of playing more sort of modern styles, especially related to modern worship, which has pop influences, some jazz influences, some rock influences, even some country influences. Well, if you're used to playing a score like this Mozart sonata, where you have every note written out, as opposed to a score like this, well, this is not a score, actually, this is a chord chart that shows you four chords, four measures worth of chords, and you may look at it and go, well, he's already lost me because I don't know specifically what a B flat major 9 is. In the third measure, I don't know what that C/E means, and so forth. There's some things about this more modern styling that's very different from classical music, but there's a lot that it has in common with classical. One of the things in particular that I have found so relevant is the fact that if, for instance, when I was in college, I was playing the Chopin G minor ballade, which has a very challenging coda. And one of the ways I got more comfortable playing it was to start really slow and then increase the tempo as I got more comfortable with the technical challenges of the piece. Now, I've developed a series of 4 exercises I'm going to be showing you here, and I hope that if you've experienced that thrill as a classical musician of mastering what had seemed like an impossibly difficult section, but then you discover, because of practice and repetition and careful study of how your hands are working together, how your hand position is, and so forth. Let me show you a side view. For instance, as you, I don't have a side shot, but making sure that you have an arch in your hand so that your knuckle is got some, is allowing your fingers to pivot in your hand, things like that that matter technically for a classical approach. Now, as I show you these exercises, what we're going to be looking at is a chord progression based on a beautiful song I've discovered called Soul by a young artist named Gracie Binion. This chord progression that I'm using, that I'm showing you here, is the intro. Not just, there's no intro to the song, which is kind of interesting roadmap form-wise, but the chords are in the verse of the song. And the first thing you hear is an acoustic guitar. In fact, the only thing you hear is her singing, Gracie singing, and the acoustic guitar. And for the sake of our purposes here, not just for this video, but for you practicing on your own, I've made my kind of imitation of the acoustic guitar using some of the sounds from my computer. And I've given us a 6-beat count in. The song is in 6/8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I want you to listen to this, the little bit of a track, and you'll hear the count, and then you'll hear the chords. Here's the third bar. And it repeats again and again like that. I recorded it as a practice tool. This is not a track from the song, but I want to share it with you. So after the videos, after I'm done today, I'll put a link to this audio file in the description so you can download it yourself. And I'll also make a worksheet that will show you these exercises, and you can get in the habit of practicing these things. And it's a remarkable thing that God's designed in our brains, that even if you think, I would never be able to create something spontaneous like that. But the great news for all of us as humans is that our brains feature or exhibit the dynamic of a concept called neuroplasticity, meaning if we can't do something today, our brains are remarkably created in such a way that I won't get too specific because I don't know all the specifics, but the synapses or connections in the brain that had once been there can, through repetition, in many cases, be remade, and we can learn new things. So take that as encouragement and Google neuroplasticity. It's a remarkable field, and remarkable discoveries are being made. In fact, they support Romans 12, that's one that says, be transformed by the renewing of your minds. And that literally is possible. So science is confirming what Scripture says to us, that we can be renewed in our minds. So with all that said, let's jump into our first exercise. Now, what I'm going to be showing you here is some very specific things to play. Now, for those of you who are thinking, what's he going to have us doing an arpeggio with this B flat major 9? I don't know what that is. Don't worry. We're going to be playing two notes at a time, and they'll be played as solid units. So when you play the top note, you'll play the bottom note with it. And what I've given you here is the note in big letters up top is the note under which we're going to play a sixth. So if you count 6 notes down in the scale, we're in the key of F. So F, E, D, C, B flat, A. So in that first measure, you see an F on top and an A below it. That's a sixth. And now for the next measure, you see an E on top with a G, the sixth below it. Then you see an A on top, C below it, and C on top, E below it, and finally F on top, A below it. Now, the good news is, in terms of a starting exercise, this is a relatively slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's only 1 chord per bar. Now, when we get to the third bar, you see an F major 7, a C over E. That means you get if we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in that measure we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We play 3 beats of each of those chords, only in the third measure though. So overall, it's a lot of dotted half notes, which is a full bar of 6/8, or there might be a dotted quarter in that third bar uniquely. Okay, so I'm going to start this track, and as you download it and work on it on your own, recognize there's always a 6-beat or 1 measure count in for you. So listen to that, and I'll play along. And if you're able, sit at your own keyboard, piano keyboard, or electronic keyboard and play along with me, because there's no better time than now to start getting your reps in, doing those repetitions that get that brain cooking those synapses. I don't know if that's synapses, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but the neuroplastic thing, you know what I'm talking about. But here we go with our first exercise. Again, from the top. 2 changes here. I got ahead of the beat. I'm going to start it again. This is a major multitasking. On my left foot, I have a pedal that helps me advance the scenes between the different exercises, and my right foot is my sustain pedal. And yeah, I'm not justifying me getting off with the time, but that's what just happened there. So here we go again from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From the top. Like that. So that's our first one. Now, the second exercise I've notated, this is called rhythmic notation, where you just see a note head with a slash like that. It doesn't mean play a B flat. It just means play activity on that part of the measure. So this activity showed in the notation right above the keyboard is just da, 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 da. It's basically the click, but with a pitch to it. So in this exercise, instead of holding the F and the A for the full bar, we're going to play on each click. So we'll be going. Now let me note that in the third bar where it's got an A on top and then a C on top, you can go up to the C or down to the C. So you could go A, C, and then drop and play the C, E, or you could play A, C, and then go up and play C, E. That's a bit of a shorter distance, so you might want to make that leap while you're getting used to this approach, okay? So here we go. I'll start the recording and it's going to give you those 6 beats of click, and then we'll start playing every ta-ta-ta-ta. Ready? Here we go. I started wrong. Shoot, I started on A on top. I had it on my brain. Here we go. F. I'll go up again. I'm off again. Shoot. Well, there's nothing like live to show this. What the great discipline that I haven't done so well exhibiting right now is, as you work with music like this that's driven or what would you say, controlled by a click, where it's intentionally very metronomic. Well, it is metronomic. There's a set, very precise click going on. So a great exercise to get used to playing that click is just to literally play. In fact, I'm going to keep playing this FA and listen to it. Even though the chords change, I'm going to stay on that FA just to show you how to play with the click. Here we go. Doesn't sound so good on the C. Now I'll play the written out parts. Here's the E, G. From the top. Here's the A. And so forth. Now, as I do this, I also want to point out something I talked about a couple of days ago in another video. I talked about the flam. A flam is where a drummer might go ba-up and play 2 hits of the snare drum, and they're slightly offset so that you don't hear the 2 sticks hitting together, but you hear ba-up. So it's multiple hits, just very close together. Now, it's great if you're a drummer intending to make that flam sound, but if you're playing keyboards, you want to have a very precise attack of both notes. So as you're doing an exercise like this, part of the value of it being so slow is, well, this one has all the 8th notes, but it still can be done. In fact, now that was fairly precise in terms of the lack of flamming going on. But listen again, I'm going to be a little less exact. See, that's a flam. So get used to having your fingers strike the keys at the same moment so that the tone from each key is heard precisely together. It's very important in Bach or Brahms or Beethoven or whatever you're playing, or Gracie Binion like this, to play precise attacks together, okay? Sounds kind of like chopsticks. In fact, chopsticks is in 6/8, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, that was important to share. Let's look at the next exercise. All right, this time we're going to play what I call a long short pattern. Or is it short long? I should have typed short long because it's short long. Oh well, my bad. You can rebuke me in the comments below. So this time we're going to play what's notated here. It's a short long pattern. So in fact, what I did was notate it wrong. It is long short. It should be quarter, 8th quarter, 8th quarter, 8th quarter. So it should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, sorry about that. I'm gonna correct, well, actually I'm gonna get rid of that notation. Actually, I'm not gonna do anything because I'll make a note in the description, whatever. So sorry about that. So the notation below, just above the keyboard there, should have quarter 8th instead of 8th quarter. If I played what's written, it would be, I'll get the click going. I got off again. Okay, there. So you get the idea. Long, short, do what's written by the number 3 just down here, do what's described there rather than what's notated. I apologize for that. Next exercise is going to be what I call a hiccup on the downbeat. I don't know if a gasp is a more accurate description, but basically what's happening is it's going bum, 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 bum. And I don't know why hiccup seems to be a good description of it, but it seems a little less triggering than gasp. Gasp on every downbeat. Don't do that, please. So anyway, here's how that figure sounds. Here we go. There. So that one's interesting in that the 8th rest, that hiccup moment, or the gasp moment, if you want to call it that. Please don't call it that. Call it a hiccup. But one of the important disciplines in classical music or music like this is if we wait, if I'm doing the steady eighths, like let me back up to number 2 and show you this. If I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I jump up to this and down to the C, there's a dynamic or a mental preparation you need to keep in mind as you're playing something where you do have a leap like this. For instance, when I move from the second bar, E on top, G below, up to this A with C below, this movement, if I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let your sustain pedal hold the pitches that you're playing, and the last time you strike the E, G in that second measure, let the pedal hold it and get that hand ready over the A and the C that's approaching. And it's especially important if you go A, C, and then drop to the C, E. So with the click, again, prepare. Yeah, you get the idea. And that's a very important concept because you'll find if you wait till the last second, even that, I was inaccurate because I tried to make my brain stay on the E, G as long as possible, too long. So yeah, it's hard. It's not just hard to be accurate striking the right keys. It's also hard to control your volume. So be aware of that. So that's the 4 exercises I wanted to show you today. And again, I hope that you'll download the, in fact, I'm going to redo the video after I'm done with the live here, and I'll replace that graphic so you won't see the short, long, but you'll see long, short, long. Anyway, now here's something I want you to try. Now I'm going to just sort of improvise now, and I'm going to go to this last screen, and I'm going to give myself permission to mix up the 4 options that I had. The long, short, the holding it for the whole bar, the playing on every 8th note, and the gasp, we'll call it. I won't call it the gasp, the hiccup. So here's the click. That's long, short. That's the hiccup. I'm messing. Now I just gave you a teaser, and I'm going to explain it as a watch till the end. Here's your bonus. In 6/8 meter, one of the delights of the 6/8 meter is what's called a duple figure. In a lot of contemporary worship songs, you hear that figure used a lot. In a song called Great Are You, Lord, for example, the verse says, you give life. That's the wrong key. You give life. You give life. You are love. It's in 6/8, so we've got that pulse like we had in this song. But on the bridge of the song, it goes, that was embarrassing to sing in the wrong key. Sorry. Here's the bridge. All the earth will shout your praise. So now, this is the duple figure. We're in a 6/8 meter with that triplet subdivision, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. But I'm going to count out loud and I'm going to play a duple. So here's the 1 2 3. Here's duples. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Whoops! It's between 2 and 3 and 5 and 6. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. That's a step beyond the relative simplicity of these rhythms we've played so far. But that's something you can think about. And in one of my next videos, I'll talk about the duple in more detail. But now I'm going to play this figure again and just mess around with some duples. Duple. Duple. Gasp, hiccup. Gasp. Now, I think I've ruined it for myself and maybe for you to call it a gasp. Call it a gasp if you want. The point is in fact, inhale, or yeah, that's another word for it. It's 2 syllables, though 1 syllable is nice. So there, I've done it. So try these things. Make it a habit. If you can make a couple of minutes a day for something like this in your routine, rather than thinking, wow, that's kind of complicated, I don't know if I could do that. Give yourself credit and give yourself opportunity to develop that neuroplasticity, to see and hear and feel a confidence growing to play some of these things. And you'll enjoy yourself, I'm sure. So that's it for me today. Thanks for watching. I'll play us out and have a great week. Take care.